Alright, almost done with major railways in the U.S. All of the major oil fields are identified and placed on a map, and in addition to that, I've also adjusted raw source commodity use per facility, mainly for the new facilities that I've created. I've detailed them all in to use applicable resources as a raw source to produce the goods that they produce, such as the petroleum refinery no longer produces petroleum. It now consumes petroleum to produce military goods, consumer goods, and industrial goods of various quantities. It only lists the outputs for industrial goods at this time, but I could probably figure out how to make it list all three, although it does produce all three in the data. So this will show up in all three columns as a facility that can be made on the map. Notice that steel smelting plant is now also in the industrial goods category because it no longer produces or it uses ore, coal, and electricity to produce industrial goods. It can produce up to almost 11,000 tons at 100% supply. That's what that number is at the bottom right there. And that compares to a large industrial goods facility which uses electric, coal, petroleum, and ore to produce industrial goods in a generalized sense at a max possible output of 20,000 tons of goods at 100% supply. That facility costs roughly the same. This uses no petroleum, which makes it a nice option to produce industrial goods from, although it has less of an output. And if you build to, you can't like really cheat the game. Like if your plan is to build 70,000 of these to make up for the overall production capacities that you would get from producing, 80% of that volume in factory, you're gonna lose out because you're gonna spend more on electric. You're gonna have unemployment, or you're gonna have issues with workforce being able to acquire additional workers to staff the factory. So I mean, it is beneficial in the sense that it'll save you on petroleum to build a steel smelting plant to produce industrial goods from, in certain senses and in certain applications, and used effectively. But you're not going to be able to cheat the game by building 80 of these and never building any of these just because you're saving petroleum, because you're going to spend more on all three of those commodities and all of the other factors that go into play throughout the game's play that make that not possible to do, which makes it realistic in a sense, which is cool. So it's a useful facility to have. Same with the Petro Manufacturing Center, and all of these facilities have separate supply model percentages that they elevate the supply model at when they're constructed for example, again, this steel smelting plant brings significantly more supply to a hex than a goods industrial facility does as well, because steel smelting plants produce a variety of specific steel grades for specific applications. Military goods, goods you buy for your automotive components, computer components. That would be more under consumer goods, which is another thing I detailed. I have consumer appliances, which is eventually going to come with the technology, because appliances weren't really, as we know them, dishwashers, electric stoves and shit like that, TVs, weren't really something that consumers purchased at all in this era to start. So this will eventually come with a tech like in the 50s, when that shit starts becoming like popular. But anyway, this uses 4 different things. It uses metal ore, which could be any mineral or it's a variety of things. It could be gold, it could be lead, it could be iron, it could be a lot of different things. Or consumer appliances use petroleum, or rubber, and coal. Consumer apparel, which is like a dungaree factory, uses rubber, agriculture, because cotton and fibers that are used to create clothing are considered agriculture.